Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fuller Homestead. My name is Brian. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, not a project per se, but talks about project will be on the agenda as we look at the top 5 goals for our homestead in 2023. So I find that I tend to operate best when I deal with lists or goals. So if I'm going into town, I'm going to have a list of things I need to accomplish. In fact, I don't know if you're like me, but I sometimes will write things down on a list that I've already done, just so that I can cross it off. That's how much I enjoy lists. So with that comes an affinity for setting goals and then achieving those goals, feeling productive by them. So as we enter 2023, it's no surprise that I would have a list of things that I wanted to accomplish. But before I get into the actual list of goals, let's review where we've been for 2022. We moved here in June, so we've really only been here a full 6 months. And a lot of that time, at least early on, was spent on the house. There was some stuff on the outside like staining the porch, painting the railing, putting new light fixtures and new fans up, but really the majority of our stuff happened on the inside. For instance, we replaced the carpet in all of the rooms. We painted nearly every wall inside the house. We got new countertops. We painted the cabinets in the kitchen. We got a new sink. We got a new hot water heater. And then we had to find places for all of the things that used to hang up at our house in Texas. The second thing that we probably worked on the most was getting the shop organized. The shop initially became kind of this default for things that we didn't know exactly where it was going to go inside the house. So while I had it somewhat organized, it kind of was this continual overhauling of it because we would add new things and my wife was like, hey, we need to store that out there. And then she would find something else that needed to go out there. And it pretty much became an attic at some point. And then we organized it a little bit better and it's very, very functional right now, but I know there's still some stuff in progress. When it comes to livestock on the homestead, we obviously jumped right into the chickens with purchasing 60 at one point. Currently, I think we have 52 laying hens, 1 rooster, and 3 chickens that are yet to be of laying age. So we're good on chickens right now. We also did 1 batch of 25 meat chickens that we brought from chicks, day-old chicks, all the way up until freezer camp. We ended up only putting 24 of those inside the freezer. We now only have about half of those left. They've been either bought or given away to friends and family. And while pigs weren't initially part of the plan until spring of this year, we decided to go ahead and jump right into that, and we picked up 3 feeder pigs that are now just loving life in our forest. We've adopted a better system on how to move them throughout the wooded areas so that they're happier, we're happier. We also jumped right into the rabbit game by getting some breeding stock that we are now starting. If you saw our last video, you saw that we're currently just beginning that process, and hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have some baby kits. And with all of that comes some of the things that we added for infrastructure, whether it be shelters or equipment like a new tractor with a front loader and a backhoe and some other implements. There were some other tools that we bought that we used, like an earth auger and a chicken plucker and a boiler. I mean, we just added several things that are going to help us for years to come. Overall, what I'm saying is that 2022, the 6 months that we've been here, have really been very productive as far as our homestead goes. And so looking into 2023, I think we've set ourselves up for a good, successful first full year. And that brings us to the goals of 2023. And the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to list 5 different words, okay? And I'll explain what is involved in all of those words and what goals go with those words. But here is word number 1 for 2023. Water. In our initial setup, there was a plan to get water to the shop, to get water to other areas of the property, and it just didn't happen. And so 2023, water is the number 1 priority to get it to different places. We're going to get water in the shop. We're going to bring water out to the chickens. We're going to bring water to the garden area. And then finally, a couple of places out in the woods where the pigs will be rotating. We do have hoses that are stretched across, especially out towards the chickens and the rabbits. And that works fine, except for in freezing weather. And so during the coldest part thus far of the winter, we've been hauling a lot of 5-gallon buckets. And yeah, it's not a great distance, but just thinking about all of the time when you add it all up that we have spent hauling buckets of water, probably something that we should eliminate so that we can be more productive. In addition to those places that I just mentioned, we want to install some water catchment systems off of the shop so that we can use it in the garden. Now, we currently have 2 IBC totes that are not being used, that in the back of my mind, I was thinking we're gonna do some water catchment. I'd love to do some off the back of the house, but right now I think off the shop is going to be the priority. And that brings us to the number 2 word for 2023, and that is garden. Now, we had already scoped out the area that we thought a garden would go, and we were very pleasantly surprised to find out that the previous owner had a garden there already, and he had worked that land so that we were going to have less work to do when it came to our initial planting. In that garden area, we obviously need to do some fencing. We're going to lay out our crop rotation plan, and then we're also going to build a small tool shed and vegetable processing area. So we'll have a sink in there and some counters so we can wash off vegetables and dry them, and then we'll also have a place to store our most commonly used garden tools. And to the side of that, we're going to build some composting areas and a very small worm farm. So garden encompasses a lot of different things, but it really all is in that same area. So number 1 word is water, number 2 word is garden. The number 3 word for 2023 is marketing. Now, we have shied away from doing much outside marketing thus far, primarily because we didn't have much product to sell. By the time that spring comes, we will have plenty of eggs, we'll have chickens in the freezer, we'll have pork just about to be in the freezer, and then we'll also have rabbits in the freezer. So there will be some product that we can start promoting. And we initially want to do that with some targeted Facebook marketing, and then we're going to look at partnering with a group that's going to help us develop a website so that we can sell more of our things online and across state lines. In with marketing is going to be farmers markets. Now, obviously we're using that as a selling tool, but we're also using it as a promotion tool. And we have 2 farmers markets that are within 15 minutes of our house, and we plan on rotating our time between those 2. We may end up settling on one if it find out that it's more profitable than the other, but we want a wider area for our marketing, and so initially we'll hit both of them. The 4th word, and really it's a combination of 2 words for 2023, is resource organization. Just by the nature of bringing a household from Texas up to Arkansas and not really having a place for everything yet, a lot of stuff kind of got dumped, especially around our shed area where we currently hold our tractor and our mower. We've got 2x4s under there. We have cedar posts that we brought up. We have scrap metal. We have tin. And so I want to organize all of that where everything has a place. I don't anticipate there being a ton of stuff that we're going to get rid of because I don't think there's a lot of useless material that we have accumulated. I just think it needs to be organized a lot better, especially as we start thinking again about this marketing deal, having people on the property. We want to look like we know what we're doing and that we have a plan. So resource organization. And the final word for 2023 is going to be the word welding. Now, this one's kind of a personal one for me. I purchased 2 welders off the gentleman that we bought the property from, and I have yet to use them. Now, I have a little spot welder that I've used, but nothing like a MIG or a TIG welder. And so 2023 is going to be the year where I become adequately proficient at welding. I've got a neighbor just down the road that has promised he will teach me. He said when the weather got cooler, I would think that this is about that time. Welding is the 5th word for 2023. Now, for those of you that also homestead, you know this list of 5 words is not going to be nearly everything that we're going to do on the property for 2023. In fact, I've got pretty much every area of this property with a to-do list, and not all of those to-do lists were in the words that I just mentioned. So it is going to be a busy year. Also, I'm continuing to have a part-time job off the property, and we'll have other family things, you know, the kids with their extracurricular stuff. And so it will be a busy 2023. I tried to pick things that I thought were realistic and not just stuff that I would be disappointed in at the end of the year. In fact, I think that's one of the keys to good goal making, is to make sure that you think and dream big, but you don't make everything on your list just unattainable. You want to make some things that you know that, hey, I can definitely accomplish that. And then by the time that it's done, you'll feel better for how productive that you were. And that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks so much for stopping in. Here's kind of an interesting request that I have. I would love to find out what your goals for 2023 are. So leave them down in the comments, whether you have a homestead or not. Just tell me what you're planning on doing for 2023. These aren't New Year's resolutions. They're just your to-do list. What are some things that you hope to accomplish? What are your obtainable goals? What are your ones that are a little bit grander than that you hope come to fruition? If this is your first time with us, I hope that you would consider subscribing to our channel. Also, give us a thumbs up. You can click that bell so that you'll be notified when our next video arrives. And until the next time, have a great day.